Hey folks, trying to knock out another 7-win expedition after the weekly reset in Legends of Runeterra. And in this run, we're going to be trying to utilize our friendly I-win minion, I believe it's called Catastrophe, that's generated off of the card Accelerated Pursuit. So obviously the card can be dealt with, but if not dealt with pretty much immediately by something that the person's holding right at that moment or within a couple of turns if they can delay it, then it's pretty much just going to be a W once it hits the board. So we ended up with Twisted Fate and Victor as our champions, so Bilgewater and Piltover, and our first matchup is against Sejuani and Riven. So I am glad that they do not have Bilgewater paired with Sejuani. That can be super annoying with some things like Misfortune. But at any rate, our opening draw, we have a pretty strong start. But you don't want to watch me slog through all of that. I promise some I win button action, and as we can see, I do have Accelerated Pursuit in my hand, the diagram of the little catastrophe suit, which summons that 30-30 overwhelm minion, but you have to have played 15 different cards throughout the game, so it can be sort of a dead draw sometimes if you can't play a lot of different named cards. But given that it's in Piltover, it's fairly easy to do. So we're keeping their Sejuani on lockdown, and we've got our army of augments and Twisted Fate and a random Poro. So if I were looking at this particular setup and didn't have Accelerated Pursuit in my hand, if my other card wasn't some type of removal for Sejuani, I would consider myself to be in pretty poor position here, with the board advantage going to my opponent, because there'd be no real way to deal with Sejuani coming across at 5/4 every turn with Overwhelm, and that the opponent has twice as many cards in hand as well. So with the 18 to 18 life total, I think that eventually I would just be sort of run down unless I had a good draw going from here. Now, fortunately, we do end up getting a somewhat good draw here because we find some removal for Sejuani, but really, once we're able to activate Catastrophe, the removal is sort of just overkill. But had I not had that, that would have been a clutch find there. But anyway, you always want to pay attention to the number of cards your opponent has in hand as well, because you can sort of see it play out. Lots of cards equals probably lots of responses in forms of fast and burst spells or tricks, as old school players from other games like to call it. So my opponent is unaware of their impending doom at this time. The Accelerated Pursuit is going to be ready to activate. As long as I don't die on this turn. They have 18 total damage, and all of their minions have Overwhelm. So if they were holding a buff card for 2 mana or less, that could get across the remainder of damage. But that means that they have 14 after I subtract out my minions' health. So they would have had to buff by more than they probably could for 2 mana. So it looks like my cat is going to hit the board and rain down a lot of doom and destruction, more so than that slower game-ending pain of Howling Abyss that my opponent played, which is also an annoying card. Legends of Runeterra has that convenient feature where the card lights up when a relevant effect has been triggered or activated on a card in your hand, which I believe Hearthstone had as well. I still manage to miss that sometimes because I'm just a moron. But at any rate, locking up our first win here using our I-win cat. So after a win, or even after a loss, you'll get to either swap out cards in your deck, or a card in your deck, or you'll get to add a champion plus 2 additional cards to your deck. So we'll get the champion option because we had a win there, and so Fizz is pretty much a throwaway because there's no way I'm just selecting Fizz, because you can put something in the comments if you think that for some reason I'm missing something, but I think Fizz is just a god-awful champion in Expedition. I don't know, I don't play Constructed, maybe he's useful there, but in my opinion, he's like, if there was lower than F tier, I would put Fizz there for Expedition. I just find no redeeming quality about him. I mean, I've lost the decks that used him before, so maybe I should have paid more attention, but I think he's terrible. So we are just going to watch the rest of the footage sped up here. So I recorded some commentary at the time that I was playing this, but apparently since I am a mouth-breathing moron, I actually forgot to have the microphone device active on my recording software. So we'll just record the commentary now, and because it's sped up here, we also get to hear the minions talk as if they are chipmunks, or I guess Yordles, as it may be. But I have a real speedy start here, which is cool. I have the awesome 1/1, I don't know, the bro guy that augments. Don't like that Rhyme-Fang Wolf. That usually means that they have some type of Frostbite card in hand as backup. I think that we'll try and play around that. I wouldn't have normally played the Codger there. I think I would have, I don't know. Just, you know, those cards that, like Rhyme-Fang Wolf, can be a little bit irritating because they can make for, you know, picking up kills on much better minions if they have Frostbite to back it up. And I didn't really have any way to stop that, but that's not what he had. He did have a card, but effectively that's a 2 for 2 because he killed my minion, trading with the wolf, and then killed the other one by using removal in a hand. So, like, when you're counting, like, you know, whether something was a good trade in a card game, one simple rule of thumb is just to figure out how many cards each person has to use. And obviously that's not always easy, because some cards are better than others, but like in terms of pure, like, whether you generated any card advantage, you can count it that way. Which is that it's a pretty basic concept in card games. Card advantage equals good. So if you use one card to remove 2 of theirs, you've generated 1 card advantage. And then you have annoying things like that shaman that's in play that is, you know, going to sort of permanently disable 1 card until I can get rid of it. I don't know. For some reason, whenever I have that shaman, it does really poorly for me. But anyway, there's a Harbinger of Doom right there, the Nyan cat. Because, as I mentioned earlier, he is, at least his species, is the representative on board the catastrophe for accelerated pursuit. But I don't know. The opponent played some weird minion that I hardly ever see. It's the guy that does double damage to the Nexus, and by guy I mean I think it's female. I think it's called like Shiraz or Blade or something. The same picture that's on Kato with the arm, which makes sense by that little loading screen that says Shiraz and Kato are totally dating or something. Nah, oh, why? But anyway, oh, there he is. There is the blueprint of Doom. And I just got rid of that other annoying shaman, and then just another one reappeared. But at any rate, because I've already played lots of different cards, you can see Accelerated Pursuit isn't lit up yet, but it's probably going to be here shortly because I'm awesome, and Accelerated Pursuit is awesome. So it's sort of a little bit excess here to use a 7 damage card on that shaman, but I just hate that shaman so much. So the Trail of Evidence, you know, is a really great card for cheaply getting out cards in terms of playing lots of different cards. I mean, once you played your first Accelerated Pursuit, it's not going to count for more or additional different cards, but it's, you know, it's going to be solid in terms of just getting a new card out every turn. But it doesn't matter because the guy has hit the board, and that's going to be a win.